It is time to hear from your most annoying Lions content creator on the internet, but also I am the #1 independent Lions content creator, and that's because I do not filter, I do not lie, I do not sugarcoat anything when it comes to this team, and I'm willing to have the tough conversations. It's not a lot of people in this space that's willing to do that for fear of blowback, even some who flap off at the mouth. Now, we're going to do this. We had already done a live stream reaction to Brad Holmes' press conference, and you guys can check out that live stream to hear my thoughts from it. But I got a question that I want to have. Now, let me get the good out of the way first. The good is that Brad Holmes is fantastic when it comes to thinking outside the box, drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, landing a guy like Brian Branch, actually taking a guy like Aiden Hutchinson in the 2022 draft, trading up, the aggressive trade up for Jamison Williams. But one thing is painfully obvious. He does not care necessarily about the pass rush. Brad Holmes, whether you like me and my dialogue and my delivery or not, what you cannot deny is the stats. The stats are the facts. And the facts are that Brad Holmes is getting a little chippy. He's getting a little irritated when it comes to this pass rush. I've noticed this for quite some time. When I say quite some time, I'm talking about years. It took everyone else to catch up to where I was at, meaning the Detroit Lions beat writers. Most of the questions today were centered around the edge rusher position. Shout out to John Macron with Detroit Sports Podcast for asking one of the tough questions and, pushing Brad Holmes a little further. One reason I couldn't be credentialed is because they would hate to see me coming. I would be the Grant Cohen of Detroit Lions sports. Shout out to Grant Cohen. I know none of the Niners media, none of the Niners people can stand him. I would be that guy. I'm too much of a fan to ask questions to be credentialed, right? But the question that I'm putting before you is, do you think that Brad Holmes' arrogance is now getting to his head? I know some of y'all are rolling your eyes in the comment section, but I think it is. I think it is. Let's go back to 2023 when he traded up or traded back and got Jahmyr Gibbs, and the entire internet absolutely destroyed him. Everybody but Detroit Lions fans. I was fine with the pick. I actually predicted that pick a few videos before the draft. You were fine with it, but the mainstream media absolutely annihilated Brad Holmes, and it turned out that Brad Holmes got the upper hand, and everybody was glazing him by the end of the season. One thing has been consistent, though. Since he has been Detroit Lions general manager, our pass rush, our defensive line has been less than stellar. A lot of people want to talk about the injuries going into 2024. I'm not talking about 2024 necessarily, not alone. Nothing really changed from 2023 to 2024. The only difference was DJ Reader, that was a big deal, and Marcus Davenport. That's it. You trade for a guy like Zadarius Smith, and he costs too much money, and you cut him. Let's backtrack a little bit. Zadarius Smith was not only the leading sacker after he got to the team, which was after Aiden went out, he was also the leading person getting pressure after he got here. He did not play an entire season. We are going to get into very specific points in Brad Holmes' press conference, and we are going to address these things. But I think that, in a way, Brad Holmes, his arrogance has gotten to his head. I truly believe that. Especially after the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. And we've been seeing it for the past couple of years. Because remember, if we go back to this time last year, he was talking about how everybody criticized him for the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, and look how that worked out. But the first point is at the 10-minute and 45-second mark. Here's what Brad Holmes, and all of this has to do with pass rushers, because even the beat writers are starting to get under his skin. Let's check it out.
What Dave was talking about, I'm just curious about the BPA versus need conversation. When maybe a guy is...
I love need.
Let's say
you guys know me.
Is clearly a guy you evaluated very, very highly, but there's an overlap with a guy in your roster where it's tough to see how you get both of them on the field. Like, how do you handle that as an evaluator when that guy's the best player but maybe can't help you in a meaningful way?
Yeah, and we've had those discussions. I think the interesting thing, Justin, is that, and this is where I not get annoyed, but this is why I sometimes don't understand the whole need thing, because when each season ends, it's going to be something else. Like, another player's contract's going to end. Another player, unfortunately, might be coming off an injury. And like, it's going to be something different every single offseason. So if you're trying to chase what happened last season of, oh man, this guy's contract's, and if you're trying to chase, well, this guy got an injury, like, you're just kind of getting into a cycle that I think is a little bit dangerous to get into. So that's why I've been more of a, just get the best player, because even, like, look, we loved Rakestraw, and unfortunately he just wasn't as healthy, but so he wasn't able to help as much last year. But like, we're real excited and looking forward to what he's going to be able to bring this year. So there is just, and I said before, there's just a level of patience that you just have to play. But when you start chasing need, it's like, well, that need might make sense for right now at this time, but what we make these picks for future investments. And I know we live in a society that everything is right now, boom, right now. And I understand it too, just from, when a player gets drafted and so much, fascination is made about the draft, and, people are excited about it. People want to see it right now. And, they don't want to wait and be patient, but there's just patience. I mean, it's no different than when we made that massive jump to get Jameson Williams. He was coming off his injury. We knew maybe he could play a little bit late in the season, but weren't planning on it. So yeah, I just got to play the patient. But I'm just, I think you can get trouble chasing needs sometimes, and then you're dependent on a rookie that you do the best you can, but nobody has a crystal ball. So it could be a tough world to live in.
Okay, so he mentioned you can get in trouble taking need. He mentioned that if you draft by need about like last year, you can't worry about what happened last year. You can't, well, this person got hurt, Aiden got hurt, so now we got to draft a pass rusher. You know what the constant has been? If you really want to know what's gotten under my skin about the pass rush, is it has been lackluster since he got here. And there's no manner. And that's what the stats say. That's what the facts say, right? Aiden Hutchinson has been the leading sacker on our team since he arrived. If you remove him from the equation, it's usually Aleem McNeil. And after that, it's a linebacker. The constant, Aiden Hutchinson, hurt or not, is that there has always needed to be a quality pass rusher on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And Brad Holmes has not done that. He's already said that Josh Pascal was really not supposed to be outside. He was supposed to be interior. He was a second-round pick. We talked about Levi Onwuzurike, how he is a underachieving second-round pick. So he gets annoyed at the question about a edge rusher when it is obvious that he has not properly addressed somebody opposite Aiden. If you don't believe me, go look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers of our team. Come back and put it in the comment section. You guys act like I make this stuff up. It matters. I am only speaking because of what he's put toward the defensive line. And I'm not talking about Aleem McNeil. I'm talking about outside pressure is what I'm talking about. So Brad Holmes pretends as though, and this is what I'm talking about the arrogance, because I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to put everything in the comment section other than the argument that I told you to do, that I asked, that I requested from you, which is go and you put the pass rushers that were on our team, drafted or free agents, that have been opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and you tell me what the return has been. And don't put injury counts, because if they can't stay healthy, they do not contribute. See, once you start bringing in the stats, there is no argument. My argument is purely based off numbers. It's spoken with emotion, but it's based off numbers. So Brad Holmes' feathers are definitely getting ruffled. And another question was asked. Every time a pass rusher question comes up, Brad has kind of like a smirk and annoying look on his face. Here is the second take that I wanted to bring in.
For our pick, some might be available at our pick, and just like previous questions that I fielded, might be opportunity to trade back, and then that position is there. But yeah, there's some good football players there. Same as I felt when I told you guys at the owners' meetings.
All right. That was a very quick snippet. The question was, how do you feel about the current pass rushers on the team? And a very smug response from Brad Holmes. He's getting very tired of the question, but it's not something that we're making up. It is not. I'm going to let you guys do some homework. I want you to go and look at the overall defense for the Detroit Lions and the number of sacks. And I want you to come back and tell me where they ranked. And an argument that I've been hearing is that the Detroit Lions had 4 less sacks than the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. And I'm saying to myself, and what happened in the playoffs? What happened in the playoffs? The Detroit Lions were the only team to not have a sack. When it mattered, we couldn't get a sack. So again, this is not necessarily about sacks per se, not this video. This is about Brad Holmes and being a little too smug for his own good. Now, I'm not the first one to say that Brad Holmes thinks he's the smartest man in the room. I'm just the only one. I'm one of very few YouTubers that are willing to upset the establishment, ready to ruffle some feathers because I want to win. I don't know about you guys, but 15-2 was fantastic. The first ever first seed was fantastic, but no one cares about that when you don't make a Super Bowl, when you don't even win a playoff game. This is not about Brad Holmes being, quote, the best general manager the Lions have ever seen. This is about finishing the job. Now let's go to the next point. At the 16-minute mark of this video, Brad Holmes, and I think this is very telling about Brad Holmes and how he really feels about this team.
Parts that exist as well, but I just think what your philosophy is in terms of the usage of it.
We're trying to figure out what you will do. What will you not do?
Why is it so, let me ask you this, because, and I'm going to answer your question. Well, let me get your question out the way. What I won't do is what I've been saying that I won't do, that I know you guys get frustrated with me not doing, is looking at our depth charts, like names, black and white names, but no football being played or anything, looking at a depth charts and seeing a position and then saying, man, you got to get that position, but a player has to play that position. And so that's why I've always been saying, look, we want to get good players, because if you get a guy that can play a position and say, look, like, what was the question that you asked, Brad? The 50th time you asked pass rushers, like, well, you can draft a pass rusher every round. You could. It's easy. That's just like if a coach told me, man, we want a guy that's 6'4", 250. If you got a guy 6'4", 250, that's easy. You want a guy 6'4", 250? Yeah. I don't know if he's a good football player, but he'll be 6'4", 250. Where the same as, yeah, you can draft a defensive end. If the player playing defensive end is not what we feel is going to be the right guy to really contribute to our football team, then what are you guys going to write about that player? You guys, man, that's not working. So we're not going to reach on players just to fill a position. So that's what we won't do. But it's just, you said, like, you're always trying to figure out what we're going to do. I don't, like, when, like, a movie comes out, right? Like, I don't understand. When you go to see a movie, you don't know what you've never seen the movie. That's the excitement. And so you're fine just watching the movie. And it is whether the movie's good or bad, and then you can do that. But I don't understand why people can't just watch the draft. And it's like, all right, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but watch the draft and get your popcorn ready and enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Now, it was so much to take away from that. But he said he's not going to trade up and get a play, or he's not going to get a player that we need just because we need that player. He might not be the best football player at that position, or period. He's going to get the best football player. Then he took but you see what he said about the 50th time you've asked me that. There's a reason that people are talking about this, Brad. You get what I'm saying? It's not just me talking about it. It's everywhere now. I was just one of the first person to do it. I was doing it in 2022 when we drafted Jamison Williams because I was worried about our defense, mainly our pass rush. Aiden led the team in sacks. I was worried about it in 2023. Aiden led the team in sacks. I was worried about it in 2024. Aiden led the team in sacks. And you wonder why I get so irate in free agency when we do something like sign Marcus Davenport as our free agent move, and we cut a guy like Zadarius Smith. It literally makes no sense. It literally made no sense. You could argue money, but it literally made no sense. You get what you pay for. We're going to get Marcus Davenport. I don't want to hear the argument about being healthy. Marcus Davenport has not played a full season in his career, and he hasn't been healthy. He's had season-ending injuries the last 2 seasons. Brad Holmes said he hopes he can beat his, quote, injury luck. Is that a guy that you want on your team that you think is going to make a difference? You think that I make this channel about me. It's not about me. It's about what the numbers say. And every time somebody brings up something negative about Brad Holmes, you guys want to go to the positive. I see the positive. I accept the positive. He said something about being patient. In my opinion, as a Detroit Lions fan, an avid fan, a resident of the city of Detroit for my entire life mostly. Patience and Detroit Lions do not belong in the same sentence together. Now, if you are one of those fans, I applaud you. I am not. It is time to win. It's been overdue. Playtime is over. And then he mentioned the movie. Why can't we just sit back and get our popcorn ready? Nobody wants to go see a movie that sucks. And you know what, Brad? We've seen this movie before. We've seen it before. If you take away, let's throw Aleem McNeil in the fray. If you take away Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, we've seen this movie before. In free agency and the draft. Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, the top 3 contributors on the defensive line through the NFL draft. That is a fact. One last thing. So this tells me, Brett, and that's what I be trying to tell you, man. I'm going to be here when he gone, whenever that is. I believe that they can bring us a Super Bowl. But he got to turn some of the smugness down. Turn it down and get the right players. It can't be, so what? You can take an edge rusher every round. Yeah, no, Brad, you will take a corner every round. And he got the nerve to talk about BPA, but so we won't, listen what he said. We won't draft a player for need that's not the right player, but you will trade up for a project player that you don't need right now? Make it make sense. And then you cut the guy that was second on the team in pressures and sacks with half a season. At the 22-minute mark, here was Brad Holmes' last thoughts.
I'm sure you're going to love this because you've already shot down all the passes.
This was probably my favorite question all day. Look at Brad's face. I didn't even peep that. He is already irritated, bro. Listen, I love y'all. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. And I'm getting emotional right now because when I sit back and I watch this, man, the landscape of this has changed so much. Everybody's numbers across the board are down. The excitement for this team was not the same. You can't deny it. It's not the same as it was in between January and April of 2024. Everybody feels disappointed. More people were excited heading into 2024 than disappointment. More people are now disappointed heading into 2025 than excited. I love this football team. I love making videos about them. I love that you support and watch this channel. But one thing I cannot do is feed you fluff. And just for the record, I was willing to put on a clown suit if I was wrong. There is nothing more than I want to be wrong. I'm losing years of my life. Physically hurting from what this team does. That is nothing. I do not mind looking like a fool and being wrong for having Super Bowl champion across the chest.
So I sure need all this. when you're so close, when you work so hard to get here, and you filled a lot of needs, you built the roster, you have a lot of depth, but when it looks so clear that you finished last year with a definite need at the pass rushing, because of injuries and all that, and as you said, you never know what's going to happen, what the need's going to be in the future.
Is it more so because of Aiden got hurt? Is that why this is such a big thing?
And
Okay.
you seem to have, a reliable, second option, and you made the trade. Obviously, you did what you could.
Yep.
But in this case, people are going to be screaming for edge rush help, and those guys are really hard to get. The really good ones.
Yeah.
Is this? I hate to say that, one player away, that kind of stuff, but I mean, you look like you might have been one player away. Does that change at all as far as what you're willing to do, how far you're willing to go up to get one of those premium guys?
Yeah, again, it just has to be the right guy. And, even if it was like, it was the right guy at that specific position that we really wanted. Just because you might want it doesn't mean that you can get up there and get them. There's been previous years where, I know we did the Jameson Williams trade that was pretty far up there from where we were at. That hasn't been the only year that we've attempted to do that, not at that specific position, but just for a player. And it takes two people to do a trade. And, if there's some teams that, just don't want to go that far back. And so it takes two. So it's hard to say, like, man, like, we should do this. And even if we wanted to, there's no telling that the other team's willing to go back. You said what?
We've heard all this before. And if you try to trade, see, I understand that Brad can only do his job. I understand that. One thing, and you can't control every aspect. You can't control who's there. You can't control what team trades with you. You can't control if a player wants to sign in Detroit. But what you can control is who you draft, where you are. And they could control Broderick Martin, drafting him, trading up to draft him. Now, shout out to the person in the comment section that said only one or two edge rushers had 2 sacks or no edge rushers had 2 sacks after who were picked after Broderick Martin. That's more than Broderick had. Broderick didn't even play to get sacks. And then that was the same year that we didn't do anything in free agency. If you're wondering who the edge rusher opposite Aiden was Romeo Okwara in the 2023 NFC Championship game. I've said it and I'll say it again. Brad Holmes, I will be here whether he's here or not. There will come a time. This is a very crucial year for Brad Holmes. All jokes aside, I made up his entire middle name. It's just something funny. But Brad Holmes, this is a very critical year for him. He is in year 5. His entire draft in year 4 were essentially project people. So that absolutely scares me. Because if you thought that year 4 was a project draft, what will year 5 be? Will it be more of that? And don't forget about the year before that when we took Kobe Sorsdahl, Broderick Martin. You look at his last 2 drafts, they're not outside of Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, and Jack Campbell. They're not that great. He is extended for 3 more seasons. He has the 2025 season, 6th season, and 7th season. And what I assure you is the Ford family, they might take a while to act. And I am not saying that he should be fired. As a matter of fact, I don't think he will ever get fired from the Detroit Lions organization. But what I do believe is that after this year, if the Detroit Lions do not make a Super Bowl, all they have to do is make it, then people will begin to question whether Brad Holmes is the guy or not. And that's okay. If you want to do that, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. This is a critical year for Brad Holmes. You can't go from 3-13-1, 9-8 missing the playoffs, NFC Championship game, 15-2 getting bounced out of the first round. You cannot go any lower than that. And then even if you do make it back to the NFC Championship game, people are going to be wondering, Can he get us over the hump? And then you add this smugness in and this arrogance in of, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to draft for need. I'm also not going to ever really fill it with quality players in the free agency period. Before we leave, ask yourself this question. Do you think Marcus Davenport was the best that we could have done? Do you think everybody that the Detroit Lions, name anybody you want, a realistic person, do you think that they really said no, that all of them said no? Or do you think that, because Brad Holmes has a history of this type of behavior, which is injury-prone players. I mean, this is the same guy that signed Emmanuel Mosley coming off a season-ending injury, I've already reacted to this live. I did not think this was going to be a 25-minute video, but we had some stuff that we needed to talk about. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Consider the affiliate links, maybe making a Ridge wallet purchase if you are looking for a compact new wallet. It helps the channel. I get a lot of, I got a guy that I said this, that I wasn't going to mention his name anymore, but it's still bothering me, that he made a snark comment that was out of line. A creator who can't speak, whose music is up too loud, thumbnail game is trash. And he made an out of line comment because he doesn't agree with my take about a man he doesn't even know. I'm not going to mention his name because he's not worth it. I just want to let you know that I see it. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. If you have not received your milestone gift of 6 months or 12, and you are a director member, please, please, please email me. I take great pride in mailing these out to you, all right? If you're going to the Michigan Panther game at Ford Field on the 18th, I will be there. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you love me or hate me, we all want the same thing. Just know this, not everybody is willing to stand up here and have the tough conversations because they're scared. They want you to like them. I'd rather y'all hate me and I'm honest than love me and I'm feeding you garbage. Shout out to Spirit of Detroit podcast. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. You wonder why I didn't make but 3 videos in 2 weeks.